Wednesday morning, I woke up bright and early and headed down to a GameStop, not knowing if they even had any Switches in stock, and I just took a gamble. I waited in line from 11 a.m. until 4:30, and I finally got my order in. I was able to get the Mario Kart bundle, and then I came back a few hours later and picked it up at midnight. So we finally have a Switch 2. The crowd was just excited to get their Switch 2 after all the rumors and anticipation, and it's finally here. It was cool to hang out with people in line, talk to people. People were kind of just hanging out. There was like Smash tournaments and stuff that I caught the end of, and it was just a cool, fun midnight experience. So as soon as I picked up the Switch, it was like 1 a.m. by the time I got home, and I worked until like 5 in the morning to get all of the questions that I think anybody might have about Switch 2 answered. So let's answer some questions. This video is sponsored by TomTalk. TomTalk is a brand that I've been trusting for several years now and a regular sponsor of the channel. And that's because it's simple. Their accessories are straight up fantastic. The slim profile case for Switch 2 is a perfect fit. The soft interior will make sure your device is nice and comfy while you carry it around or throw it in your bag. And it even has slots for up to 12 cartridges. TomTalk also has a brand new sling bag, and it's honestly awesome. It's the perfect fit for the Switch 2, with its compartments specifically designed to hold and secure your device. I've got a bunch of extra space for a charger or anything else you might want to carry along with you. The sling bag is also so versatile that I use it as my daily carry bag, even if I'm not bringing my Switch 2 with me. And right now, you can get 15% off by using code NEWGEAR15 and the link in the description of this video to get yourself some high quality and reliable accessories for your Switch 2. And thanks again to TomTalk for sponsoring this video. First, let's do the unboxing. It's actually really similar to a Switch 1 unboxing, and while it is a pretty standard unboxing, I actually found a few things that I was pretty happy to see. We've got our tablet and the Joy-Cons, an HDMI cable, the Joy-Con grip so you can use your Joy-Cons as a standalone controller, even though I'm probably never going to do that. And actually the charger was the cool surprise. I was really happy to see that the brick and the USB-C cable were completely separate. My cats really like to chew on wires, what can I say? It was cool to see the Switch 2 kind of detect it was opened and started to show some instructions to get started. The switch click for the magnets on the Joy-Cons are incredibly satisfying. The dock is pretty big, and it's surprisingly light. You can pull the back panel off to easily access the ports. As far as an incredibly first high-level impressions go, I kind of feel like the main takeaway for me is that this feels like a technology device, not a toy. And I think that will pay off long-term for Switch 2, but I definitely need more hands-on to form some true opinions. There's been a lot of talk about some day one patch, and while it's not a big deal or unexpected that a console needs an update on launch, it brings up the valid question of if you can even use the Switch 2 without the day one patch and without internet. What if Nintendo's servers go offline? Will we not be able to activate a launch day Switch 2? And the answer is that it kinda works without any patches. I was able to boot into Cyberpunk because the game had a software update included on the game cartridge, but it was interesting to see that I couldn't actually play any Switch 1 games without another patch. Something that surprised me around the announcements of the Switch 2 is the controversy about an LCD panel instead of an OLED panel. I think there's some notion that LCD panels are just simply inferior. And while yes, OLED screens look great and the colors are undoubtedly vivid and rich, that doesn't mean that the Switch 2 panel is going to look like garbage. This Switch 2 panel is actually really great looking. It's got impressive specs, 120Hz variable refresh rate, HDR support, and finally, a full 1080p screen. And those specs result in a fantastic screen. When I put it next to an OLED Switch, yeah, you can see some difference. The OLED feels a little bit brighter when both are at max brightness. The OLED has richer, deeper colors. But standalone, if I'm just playing Switch 2 handheld, I really don't think that I'm going to be thinking to myself, wow, this screen looks bad. It's still a good looking, bright screen. And I think the 120Hz variable refresh rate is going to turn out to be an excellent trade-off. If you find that it's not quite reaching the peak brightness you're hoping, turn off the auto brightness. There's a chance it'll burn through battery, but at least your eyeballs will be satisfied. My experience with transferring data to a new Switch is honestly not good. As much as Nintendo gets right, they always have weird Nintendo ways of handling things, especially in software. Any normal modern device has a relatively seamless and straightforward way to get your content to a new device. Usually nowadays, That's through the cloud. So what's it like to get your game saves and data over to a Switch 2? From what I remember, it's actually not all that different from a Switch 1 to Switch 1 transfer. It still does that weird thing where it literally will delete your saves for certain games off the original device as it transfers it to the new one. Nintendo does make the process simple for the end user though. You just get both Switches together, make sure they both are plugged into the charger, and then go through the steps. It's not the most seamless transfer, but it does work. How about the eShop? The current eShop is absolute garbage. It's like trying to browse the web in the 90s. The new Switch 2 shop though is super snappy and it feels great. I just held down the down arrow to scroll, and it did really just go on forever until there was literally no more results to show. It's not to say that this wouldn't possibly get slower over time, but considering that we've got all the Switch 1 content and now Switch 2 content too, and it's running smooth, I think that's a great sign. The new recommended section is a great addition, something other game storefronts have, so to see some personalization from Nintendo is great. I think we can finally just browse the eShop. I don't really know how much use this camera gimmick is going to get. I really can't envision a world where the Switch 2 camera becomes a core mechanic of a beloved game, but here I am with it. And yes, the quality is quite poor. The biggest question I had about the Switch 2 camera compatibility was actually just if standard webcams would work. This webcam I have here is actually a really cool webcam. It's called the Opal Tadpole, and it's meant to make it easy to attach to a laptop so you can bring higher quality webcams with you on the go. So I wanted to know, what will happen if I use it with the Switch 2? Well, unfortunately the answer is simple, it just doesn't work. So how about a capture card? Unfortunately, at least for me, no dice. So quick update actually, I actually got the USB-C camera capture devices to work. All of like the real brands didn't seem to work, but I used some off-brand Amazon, just straight HDMI to USB-C, and it worked. I really don't plan to buy many physical Switch 2 cartridges, but Cyberpunk just seems like a cool one to have, so this is highly likely to be my one and only physical Switch 2 game. First, I had to see what happens when you put it into a Switch OLED. Nothing really exciting. But for real, I wanted to see if Cyberpunk had its benchmark tests or any special settings on the Switch 2 version. It would be really great to be able to compare the benchmark tests to other versions of the game. Unfortunately, we don't have any sort of benchmark test on the Switch 2, but it does have settings for performance mode versus quality mode. I'll have to take a closer look at how the game looks and feels in another video though. GameCube! We finally have GameCube on the Switch 2! It's amazing! I honestly didn't think this was ever going to happen. All the rumors and everything, I just thought there was no chance that Nintendo would ever do something like this. And we're not just getting GameCube games, we're getting upscaled GameCube games. And even more importantly, F-Zero GX. It's become the de facto emulation test, so it's pretty awesome that we're just seeing it day one on the Switch 2. And it plays really great. Do you think we'll ever see Rogue Squadron 2 on the Switch 2? Probably not, but I could dream, right? One of the biggest questions that I've had since the reveal of Switch 2 was the Mig Switch. Did they block it? Will I get banned? At least if I do get banned, that subscribe button would really help if I do lose my entire Switch account at least. When we do try it, games show up and I can cycle through the games, but they don't launch. They all say they need a software update. This is on a totally clean room Switch 2 without my Nintendo account and without an internet connection. After I did the whole Switch transfer process, I put in a legit Switch 1 cart, did the game install, and then put my Switch 2 into airplane mode. Now we can try the Mig Switch again. And it just doesn't work. It showed me an error the first time, and after that, the system actually just hangs for a bit with no error message when you try again. And best of all, we're not bricked. Phew. It's too bad Mig Switch doesn't work though, because I really liked not having to carry around the few cartridges I do own, but I get it. Nintendo is super anti non-official hardware of anything, so it just doesn't seem to work. I do wonder if we'll see an update to the Mig Switch, but who knows? It could take some time to get some sort of update out there. Maybe there's a firmware update that they can push out instead of a new hardware device. But yeah, right now, no Mig Switch. All right, now we're getting to the most important thing. How does the cart taste? I don't really want to try the cartridge, but here I am. about to lick technology. So let's get it over with. I really don't want to do this. I don't want to drag it out too much. So just, here we go. You know what? It actually doesn't taste like anything. I feel like everyone makes a really big deal about Switch carts tasting bad. Oh, ooh, oh my god. Okay, the end of it tastes really bad. Oh my god. It's like, it tastes like the stuff that I use to spray my wires so my cats don't bite my cables. That's terrible, but there you go. So there we go. This is by no means a Switch 2 is great or Switch 2 sucks kind of video. I think there will be plenty of opinions flying around, and I'd rather get some time actually experiencing the device first. I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but so far, I do anticipate that if you like Switch 1, you're going to like Switch 2. I do want to do some deeper Switch 2 videos, but for now, I just wanted to get some questions answered. Let me know if there are any other burning questions you have about Switch 2. Did you get your pre-order yet? Are you still on the hunt for the Switch 2? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future videos, and thanks for watching. Now that we're done, just gotta play the Switch. I've been working on answering these questions, but I just want to play some Mario Kart. I have it all installed, got the SD card installed. I'm actually using, this is actually crazy. I'm using all of my 512 gigabyte storage already, and that's from one Switch 2 game, and everything else is Switch 1 content. So, I mean, you know, everybody's got different game libraries, but we're all filled up here. It's all accounted for. I have 111 megabytes left on the micro SD card, and the internal storage is filling up quick. So of course you can uninstall games, but you know, I like to have all my games with me. But yeah, let's finally play some Mario Kart.